Most people are looking for the easy way, the shortcut, the hack. But here's the truth, ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship ever was. You don't grow by doing what's easy. You grow by doing what's necessary. Discipline is hard. Sacrifice is hard. Telling yourself the truth is hard. But that's where your future lives. It's buried under all the things you don't feel like doing. And if you want to rise, if you want to build a life of substance, you're going to have to make peace with pain. Not suffering for suffering's sake, but meaningful pain. The kind that builds something in you. The kind that demands more of you than you thought you had, and then gives it back to you in strength. Because let's be honest, the life you want? It's uphill all the way. And that means you can't coast. You can't drift. You can't hope your way there. You walk it. One step. One day. One disciplined act at a time. And yes, it's hard. But that's the point. When you do what's easy, your life gets hard. When you do what's hard, your life gets easier. That's not a motivational phrase, that's physics. It's cause and effect. Every skipped workout, every dollar wasted, every conversation avoided, every book you don't read, they compound into weakness. Not just in your body or your bank account, but in your spirit. Life will always ask, can you delay pleasure now to create power later? Most people say no. They trade their future for a feeling. They sell their purpose for comfort. And then they wonder why they're stuck. They wonder why nothing changes. Why they're restless. Why they feel empty. It's because comfort is not nourishment, it's numbing. You weren't built for convenience. You were built for contribution. You were built to become someone. And that road, that transformation, is lined with fire. And fire doesn't destroy the gold. It refines it. Here's a truth most people avoid. If it's not hard, it's probably not meaningful. And if it doesn't cost you something, it won't change you. People want growth without tension. They want wealth without discipline. They want impact without sacrifice. But the universe doesn't work that way. Everything meaningful carries a price. And the price is usually pain, persistence, and patience. If you aren't paying that, you're probably just consuming someone else's vision. Living someone else's dreams. Following someone else's values. So ask yourself, what are you avoiding right now, just because it's hard? The gym? The honest conversation? The savings plan? The book you know you should write? The business you keep postponing? Hard isn't the problem. Avoiding hard is. Hard is the teacher. Hard is the test. Hard is the invitation to become someone new. And every time you say yes to what's hard, you say yes to what's possible. You stop living life as a spectator and start shaping it with your own two hands. And no, you won't always feel like it. No one does. But your future doesn't care how you feel. Your habits do the talking long after your motivation walks away. So you train. You write. You study. You show up. Even when it's inconvenient. Especially when it's inconvenient. Because that's the edge most people never cross. That's where champions live. That's where self-respect is forged. And if you ever want to like the person you see in the mirror, you're going to have to do the hard thing, when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when every part of you wants to quit. That's when you win. The greatest gift you can give yourself is proving that you can do hard things. Because once you prove that, there's no area of life you can't improve. Not all at once. But piece by piece. Decision by decision. Day by day. You want a better life? Do the hard thing first. Wake up early. Say no when it's tempting. Say yes when it's terrifying. Tell the truth. Track the numbers. Write the goals. Feel the fear and move anyway. Because every time you do, you strengthen the voice inside you that says, I don't run from difficulty. I rise through it. You'll find out something strange when you start leaning into what's hard. It doesn't get easier, you get stronger. The weight doesn't change, you do. Your back straightens. Your eyes sharpen. Your voice deepens with purpose. That's what self-mastery looks like. That's what confidence is built on, not fake affirmations, but daily confrontation with difficulty. And no, it doesn't happen overnight. But it does happen. When you stop begging for comfort. When you stop wishing life would bend for you and decide to bend yourself toward life. There's no such thing as a disciplined person with a miserable life. There's no such thing as a lazy person with a fulfilled one. Your habits shape your destiny. Not your dreams. Not your inspiration. Not your intentions. Only your decisions. And only the hard ones count. So stop waiting for it to get easier. That day's not coming. Start getting better. Start becoming stronger. Start doing what most people won't, so you can live how most people can't. The shortcut is the long road. The cheat code is discipline. The hack is integrity. The secret is that there is no secret, just you, your work, and the wall you must climb. And every room of that wall is labeled with the same phrase. Do what's hard. You don't rise by hoping. You rise by building. And building requires effort aimed at what's uncomfortable, not convenient. See, most people are addicted to feeling good now. They crave the dopamine, not the direction. They chase the easy thrill, not the enduring principle. But feeling good is not the same as becoming good. And if all you ever chase is comfort, you'll never know your power. You won't know what it feels like to win the war inside. To walk away from the excuses. To override the fear. To keep your word to yourself when it would be easier to break it. Because that's what shapes a person. Not their words, but their follow-through. Not their goals, but their grit. Not what they say they value, but what they actually show up for when no one's watching. Doing what's hard means you stop looking for guarantees. It means you understand that uncertainty is the price of growth. That you can't predict the outcome, but you can prepare yourself. You can forge a mindset so resilient, so grounded, so committed to principle, that nothing outside of you can control the direction of your life. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something that terrified you, on purpose? Not because you had to, but because you knew it was the path forward? That's how strength is built. That's how purpose is found, on the other side of resistance. You're not going to find your destiny binge-watching other people's lives. You're not going to find your identity hiding behind a screen. You're not going to build confidence by running from discomfort. You build it by voluntarily walking into the storm. By lifting what's heavy, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and doing it again tomorrow. There is a version of you that is so much stronger than you think. But you will never meet that version until you choose to suffer constructively. Until you stop letting your emotions vote on your values. Yes, you'll be tired. Yes, it will test you. But the reward is becoming someone you actually respect. What most people call hard, Jim Rohn called necessary. Necessary to win. Necessary to grow. Necessary to separate yourself from the 97% who never become what they could have been. Because while others debate whether it's worth it, while they complain about the difficulty, or blame the economy, or their parents, or the system, you become the kind of person who looks in the mirror and says, "It's hard, and I'll do it anyway." That's power. Not arrogance. Responsibility. And responsibility, once you accept it, becomes your superpower. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop needing permission. You realize that if your life is hard right now, that's your signal. Not to retreat, but to respond with strength. You are not here to escape the weight. You are here to learn how to carry it, with grace, with grit, with courage. Because when you show up to life with discipline, When you do the hard thing first, when you choose principle over pleasure, you get something far more valuable than applause or attention. You get alignment. You become someone whose actions match their values, whose direction matches their decisions. You don't need the world to validate you when you respect yourself. And you don't respect yourself unless you've earned it. You earn it in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the reps no one sees, in the money you didn't spend, in the truth you told, in the distraction you overcame. It's not glamorous, but it's sacred. Doing what's hard is sacred. It's the great filter of life. It separates the talkers from the builders, the dabblers from the committed, the imitators from the originals, the dreamers from the doers. It's not about perfection. It's not about hustle for the sake of hustle. It's about living on purpose, with integrity. And you don't need to overhaul your entire life to begin. You just need to do the next hard thing, the next honest decision, the next disciplined choice, the next moment of silence instead of reaction, the next time you choose to rise instead of roll over. That's how your life changes. Not all at once, but always through the hard road. The people who change their lives, and the world, are not the ones who had it easiest. They're the ones who chose not to let difficulty define them. They faced the storm. They kept showing up. They stared down doubt, fear, failure, and kept walking. And while the world was sleeping in, they were waking up early. While others made excuses, they made adjustments. While most waited for motivation, they chose responsibility. Because they understood something most people never learn. Doing what's hard doesn't break you, it builds you. It forges something eternal inside. Not just a better body, a bigger bank account, or a fancier title, but a soul that's earned its strength. You want to know who you are? Look at what you're willing to endure for the life you say you want. Look at what you do when it's boring, when it's painful, when no one is watching. That's where identity is forged, in the private war between who you are and who you're becoming. And that's why this moment matters. Because you get to decide. You can shrink, or you can stretch. You can numb out, or you can rise up. You can follow the crowd, or you can do what's hard. Doing what's hard doesn't guarantee success. But not doing it guarantees regret. And regret is the most brutal pain of all. Not because you failed, but because you never tried. Because you had the potential, but not the discipline. The dream, but not the habits. The time, but not the urgency. So no, doing what's hard isn't easy. It's not supposed to be. It's sacred. It's rare. And it's your responsibility. You get one life. One shot. And every single day, you are writing the story of who you are, not with your words, but with your choices. So write something worth reading. Live something worth remembering. And when the doubt shows up, as it will, you look it in the eye and say, I was built for this. I don't run from the hard path. I walk it. I don't wait for motivation. I bring it. I don't fear the fire, I become it. Because in the end, the life you want will never be found in comfort. It will be found in courage, in clarity, in doing what's hard over and over until it becomes who you are. And when you get there, not to the finish line, but to the realization that you never needed easy, you'll look back and realize something most never will. The struggle was the gift. And doing what was hard was the greatest thing you ever did.